The attic was dark, the kind of darkness that seemed to swallow the light whole, leaving only shadows to dance on the walls. And dusty. Cobwebs clung to Daniel's face, their delicate threads breaking as he moved. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories. As he rummaged through his grandmother's old chest, the creaking of the wooden floorboards beneath him echoed in the stillness. He could hear Olivia behind him, giggling nervously, her laughter a fragile sound in the oppressive quiet. "Find anything interesting?" she asked, her voice hushed in the stillness of the attic. Her curiosity was palpable, a spark in the dim light. Daniel didn't answer immediately. He was staring at a faded piece of parchment in his hands, his eyes wide with wonder. It was a map. Not just any map, a treasure map. He could tell from the aged paper, the cryptic symbols, and the single word scrawled across the top, Ravenwood. The name alone conjured images of hidden secrets and untold riches. "Olivia, look," he whispered, his voice trembling with excitement. "I think it's a real treasure map." His heart pounded in his chest, the thrill of discovery coursing through his veins. Olivia peered over his shoulder, her eyes widening as she took in the intricate details of the map. It showed a winding path leading into the heart of Ravenwood, the ancient forest bordering their town. The lines and symbols seemed to pulse with a life of their own, beckoning them to follow. Ravenwood. The name sent shivers down their spines. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones, a place shrouded in mystery and rumored to be haunted. Stories of strange occurrences and eerie sightings had been passed down through generations. A thrill, equal parts fear and excitement, shot through them. This was an adventure waiting to unfold. They could almost hear the whispers of the forest, calling them to uncover its secrets. As children, they had often dared each other to venture into the edges of Ravenwood, but none had ever gone far. The forest was a forbidden place, a boundary they had never crossed. Now, with the map in hand, the possibility of exploring its depths seemed both terrifying and exhilarating. They traced the path on the map with their fingers, imagining the journey that lay ahead. The map hinted at hidden dangers and promised untold treasures. It was a puzzle waiting to be solved, a mystery begging to be unraveled. Determined, they exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. This was their chance to step into the unknown, to turn the whispers of the past into the adventure of a lifetime. With a deep breath, they prepared to embark on a journey that would change their lives forever. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the attic window, they knew it was time. The map's whisper had become a call they could no longer ignore. Together, they would brave the mysteries of Ravenwood, ready to uncover whatever secrets it held. The forest floor was damp and soft beneath their feet, each step sinking slightly into the moist earth. The sound of their footsteps was muffled, adding to the eerie silence that enveloped them. Sunbeams struggled to penetrate the dense canopy of leaves, casting long, eerie shadows all around them. The interplay of light and shadow created an almost surreal atmosphere, as if the forest itself was alive and watching their every move. The air hung heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth, a mixture that was both refreshing and foreboding. The mist that clung to the ground seemed to swirl around their legs, adding to the sense of mystery and unease. "Are you sure about this, Daniel?" Olivia asked, her voice barely a whisper. Her eyes darted around nervously, as if expecting something to jump out from the shadows at any moment. "Don't worry," Daniel said, trying to sound braver than he felt. He forced a smile, hoping to reassure her, but the uncertainty in his eyes betrayed his true feelings. "We have the map. What could go wrong?" He held up the old, weathered map, its edges frayed and the ink faded, but still legible. The map was their only guide through the labyrinthine forest. He hoped his words sounded confident. He knew that if he showed any sign of fear, it would only make Olivia more anxious. Deep down, though, his heart pounded a nervous rhythm against his ribs. Each beat seemed louder than the last, echoing in the silence of the forest. The woods seemed to press in around them, the silence broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant cawing of crows. The occasional flap of wings overhead made them jump, their nerves on edge. They followed the map's path, their eyes darting nervously in the shadows. Every rustle, every snap of a twig made them pause and listen. their senses heightened by the fear of the unknown. The deeper they ventured, the darker the woods became. The trees grew closer together, their branches intertwining to form a nearly impenetrable barrier of darkness. The air grew colder, sending shivers down their spines. Their breath became visible in the frigid air, each exhale a small cloud of mist that quickly dissipated. The cold seemed to seep into their bones, making them shiver uncontrollably. Daniel pulled out an old compass, hoping to get their bearings, but the needle spun erratically, as if the forest itself was playing tricks on them. He frowned, realizing that they were truly on their own in this haunted place. Olivia moved closer to Daniel, seeking warmth and comfort. They huddled together, their eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. The forest seemed to close in around them, its secrets hidden in the shadows. Suddenly, Olivia noticed a strange symbol carved into the bark of a nearby tree. She pointed it out to Daniel, who examined it closely. The symbol was unfamiliar, but it seemed to hold some significance, as if it was a warning or a guide. With renewed determination, they continued their journey, following the map and the mysterious symbols that seemed to appear at crucial moments. The forest was a maze, but they were determined to find their way through it, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The wind picked up, swirling around them and carrying strange whispers. They sounded like voices, faint and indistinct, murmuring their names. "Did you hear that?" Olivia asked, her hand tightening around Daniel's arm. "It's just the wind," Daniel said, though he felt a shiver crawl down his spine. He couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched, their every move observed by unseen eyes. They pressed on, their pace quickening. The map led them deeper into the heart of Ravenwood, past gnarled trees with twisted branches that seemed to reach out to them like skeletal fingers. The whispers followed them, growing louder, more insistent. They rounded a bend in the path and came to a sudden halt. The air was thick with anticipation, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Standing before them was a clearing, bathed in an ethereal moonlight that seeped through the dense canopy. The light created an almost magical atmosphere, casting long shadows that danced with the rustling leaves. And in the center of the clearing, a figure. It stood motionless, as if waiting for them, its presence both inviting and foreboding. It was a woman, her form shimmering as if woven from moonlight and shadow. Her very essence seemed to blend with the night, making it hard to tell where she ended and the darkness began. She wore a long, flowing gown that billowed around her like mist. The fabric seemed to move of its own accord, swirling gently as if caught in an unseen breeze. Her face was obscured by a veil, but her eyes seemed to burn with an otherworldly light. They pierced through the darkness, holding a depth of emotion that was both captivating and terrifying. Olivia gasped, clutching Daniel's arm. Her grip was tight, her knuckles white with fear and uncertainty. "Who is that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the pounding of her heart. The question hung in the air, unanswered and echoing in the stillness. The woman glided towards them, her feet seemingly not touching the ground. She moved with an ethereal grace, her gown trailing behind her like a ghostly train. They could hear her voice now, soft and melodious, yet filled with a sadness that chilled them to the bone. It was a voice that spoke of ancient sorrows and forgotten tales. "So, you seek the treasure of Ravenwood," she said, her voice echoing in the stillness of the clearing. Her words carried a weight, a sense of history and mystery that made their quest feel even more daunting. The treasure was not just a prize, but a key to unlocking secrets long buried in the heart of the forest.